Brian, Deion Sanders kind of got called on the carpet by one of his fellow college football coaches. Rob G, summarize what's going on with Deion Sanders.
Well, there's a lot going on with Deion Sanders because, as you know, he has completely overhauled that Colorado Buffaloes roster. I believe that they now have 52 players from previous season that have transferred into the end of the transfer portal. And as you know, when Deion Sanders was brought in, he said that he's bringing his own luggage and it's Louis, so he'd like all of you to jump into that transfer portal as soon as possible. But one guy who's not a fan of the way Deion's running things is Pittsburgh coach Pat Narduzzi, who said, quote, 24/7 Sports, "That's not the way it's meant to be. That's not what the transfer rules intended to be. It's not to overhaul your roster. We'll see how it works out. But to me, it looks bad on college football coaches across the country."
Does it look bad on college football coaches when, after sitting in a kid's living room and telling their mom and dad that they're going to make a man out of him and make sure he gets his degree and they're going to make him the best football player they can, and then they leave the program after a year, the coach, because they got a better offer somewhere? I mean, is he criticizing those coaches? Brian, I don't have any problem. I get what he's saying in that, the transfer portal is, at least to a large degree, for players who are in a bad situation, at least for themselves, to go to another place where they may be able to play. But Deion Sanders took over a team that was 1-11. Mm-hmm. Deion Sanders was brought to Colorado to win. If he keeps these players that aren't that good and he goes 2-10 next year and 4-8 or whatever the next year, and then 5-6 or 3-11 the next year, he'll lose his job. We all know, let's get rid of the farce, the shenanigans, that college football isn't big time, that is not pseudo-pro football, and understand it for what it is, and realize Deion Sanders and any coach has to win. And if that means overhauling a roster that you didn't even build, then I'm sorry, I got no problem with it.
I have zero problem with it either. And as far as Pitt head coach Pat Narduzzi, it's like, is what Deion Sanders, is what he's doing, is that illegal? No, absolutely not. Then mind your business. Then mind your freaking business. Get Pitt on track. Don't worry about Deion in Colorado.
Who you to be talking?
I know. I look at this a lot. The comparison I would make, it would be like the offense you run, where you could run the air raid. You could have this wide open, sling it all over the field. You could have an option-based running attack. It's whatever you feel like doing. If you want to build your program through the transfer portal and you want to have a bunch of turnover year one, you're going to build it from the ground up, fine. If you want to just dabble with the transfer portal and not go all in, great. But there's nothing illegal about it. And if Deion just wants to do it this way, that's his approach. And if it works, you certainly can't knock it. And the only way you can knock it, in my mind, is if it doesn't work, not that he's overusing the portal.
Right. No, I'm with you. Look, it can work for coaches and players. And this has been our argument, my argument, the reverse way for the portal, where, like I said, a coach can up and leave a team anytime he wants.
Yeah.
Still under contract, no problem. Then why can't a player? And I get it. It makes for a lot of instability, and it's harder on coaches. There's no doubt about that. But it's hard. What about the players who went to play for a Nick Saban?
Yeah.
Or someone else like that, and then that coach leaves? They didn't go there just for the school. They went there for the coach. Mm-hmm. And so just like we feel bad for the coaches, we need to feel bad for the players, and vice versa. So, look, college football is changing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And those who will be able to shift with the way it's going will be the ones who are successful. It's just like the one and done rule. Remember, initially there were a lot of coaches that were like, I don't want to do it that way. I'm not with the one and done. I want to bring in guys who want to stay 3 or 4 years. Well, eventually they all had to shift. and go to the one and done program if they want to win and get some of the best players. And that's how I see this being.
Yeah. What's the saying, Chris? What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yep.
Love that one. But that's true here where we're thinking about the transfer portal. I can understand how it can be a major headache for a lot of coaches in college football. I get that. But if fair is fair, can you imagine what coaches would be saying if it was like, for them, what it was like in the pre-transfer portal era, where imagine a coach, if he were to switch schools, he had to sit out for an entire year before he started coaching. They would lose their freaking minds. And so I get that it's a headache dealing with, we just had a couple of starters leave, and now we're trying to plug this leak here. And it's a whole thing. I get that. But if the players have movement, the coaches have movement, I don't see what the main issue is. And we know when push comes to shove, these coaches would freak if they didn't have the same freedom that players do now.
Well, that's interesting you bring that up. And you're totally correct on that. But, look, I wouldn't be mad. And maybe it's different now that we do have the transfer portal. But either going back before the portal, or if they wanted to do it now, I wouldn't scream bloody murder. If coaches had to fulfill their contract.
Yeah.
You can leave once your contract's over. They would be totally up in arms about that. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair too. But if you want to have it where the coaches can leave early and there's a buyout and they've got some freedom, then it makes no sense. It's so hypocritical to be kicking and screaming into the night that the players enjoy the same movement, the same freedom. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Totally. So we'll see. How do you think Deion's going to do there at Colorado?
I think it's going to take some time to get it off the ground. I think this year is going to be a challenge because it's a tough schedule and you got that many transfers. But I think you give it a little bit of time, he could be successful. The thing I wonder about is what's the Pac-12 going to look like while Deion is there? That I have no idea about.
Right.
But I think once Deion does get his guys in there, it's going to be a process. I think he could be successful there.